Hello, welcome to Just the Dis, where we talk about Blu-rays. My name is Brian, and just about as soon as I finished making that favorite Blu-rays of 2020 video, I realized there was a lot more I wanted to talk about, and even in doing the second video, I'm sure there's going to be stuff that I missed. However, what ends up happening is that I just don't get certain things, don't arrive in time to do the video, and then they show up and I watch them and I'm like, oh, I really should have included that. So I have a bunch of those. Well, I'm going to start with the newer stuff, the stuff that I've just recently gotten my hands on that would have definitely been in the first video had I had them in my possession when I recorded it. And then I have just a few more that I was thinking, oh, I meant to talk about that. So I'll try and be breezy with this. I know I always say that, but there's definitely some good stuff here that I want to make you guys aware of and talk about. I'll start with this. This is the I Know What You Did Last Summer trilogy from 88 Films. I believe it's limited, but and I think their website is sold out, but I think Amazon UK might have some. I got these from a website called duff.com, D-U-F-F. They seem to be kind of like a Zavi kind of thing, and it was a little pricey because the shipping is really expensive from the UK right now, but boy do these get here quickly. They got here really fast. Anyway, so this is the back of this set. Of course, it includes I Know What You Did Last Summer, I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, and the infamous I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer. And these are Region B locked. So you will need a multi-region player to play them, but I don't know. I mean, maybe another company over here will do these, but for now, this is all we get. So you have your original, and these aren't new transfers, but the transfers that they have look pretty good, I thought. And in terms of extras, they kind of decreasingly, like this has the most, the second one has a little bit, and then the third one has the least, but this has an audio commentary with director Jim Gillespie and editor Steve Merkovich. Audio commentary with Hysteria Continues. I think they're on all three, actually. And then something called My Own Summer, an interview with director Jim Gillespie. That's kind of a Zoom-style interview with him. I think it's almost 50 minutes long, with him talking about how he got the gig. And actually, he talks about a short film that he did called Joyride, and how that sort of led to him getting the job. And they actually include Joyride on this, which is always a nice special feature. I like when they include shorts. And they actually have it with commentary as well. And then there's an interview with Muse Watson, who plays the fisherman guy, basically the killer in the movie. And I actually really enjoyed that interview. It was really neat to hear his, take on it and his point of view on being in a #1 movie. Anyway, good disc, and I liked that. I did get a chance to check out this one as well, and this one has a little bit less. This only has an audio commentary by Hysteria Continues, and then another interview with Muse Watson, also good, and a making of featurette. I think that's from the original marketing. And then I'll Always Know, and that also has the commentary by. Oh, actually, this has audio commentary by director Sylvain White, and then there's another one with Dave Wayne and Matt Budrywicz. I'm totally screwing up that. I'm so sorry. I know Dave Wayne too, and I'm really sorry, guys, that I'm messing up names, but I'm excited to hear this commentary. There's people I know on that track, and I'm very much looking forward to checking that one out. And I haven't seen this particular movie in a while, so we'll see how this one holds up, Anyway, so that is the I Know What You Did Last Summer set, which I just got. So I don't think that one's going to show up on a lot of year-end lists because it really just came out, more or less, And so anyway, I'll continue with the new stuff, and then I'll go into the older titles. I talked about this one in the last episode or the last video, and it's as good as I thought it would be. This is the 4K of Tremors from Arrow. Looks great, has a ton of features, has a nice little booklet and a poster. And yeah, I just was really, I loved finally getting this and getting to put it on and see how it looked, and it looks wonderful. Like I said, you got some like little lobby cards here, like smaller lobby card reproductions or something. Those are super cool. And then like a little Walter Chang's Market. The bonus disc is super cool in this case. It has short films. Well, it has extended interviews from Making Perfection with Ron Underwood, Brent Maddock, S.S. Wilson, Nancy Roberts, and creature designer Alec Gillis. But then it also has 3 early short films by the makers of Tremors, including S.S. Wilson's stop-motion horror comedy classic Recorded Live from 1975, which is really cool. I was watching the shorts today, and I was really digging them. 2 of them are educational films, and one is just like a USC short, about 8 minutes. But it's like this guy gets a letter to go down to this radio station. He shows up there. There's nobody there. It's like one of those, radio stations that's like in a house kind of with multiple floors. And the only thing in the room is a guy, like his clothes on a chair and 2 giant reel-to-reel, magnetic tape reels. And suddenly the reels like unspool and become this blob of tape that's chasing him around the building, and it's really fun. And then the other 2 are cool educational films about, a kid doing a report with a dictionary where it's stop motion animation of the dictionary. And then there's another one with another girl doing another report in like a quasi-futuristic house with a little robot guy that comes out of the wall. And anyway, I was totally digging those. I haven't even had a chance to get into the disc 1, feature and extras, the Blu-ray, and I'm really excited about this set. It's definitely one that I've been looking forward to for a long time, and it's just, I don't know, it's just one of my favorite movies, so I'm really jazzed to finally have it. But yeah, there's all kinds of extras on here that I haven't, like I said, gotten into yet, but I can already tell, like, this is just one of those where I'm like, yep, if I had just a little more time, that would have been on the list for sure. So definitely pick up Tremors if you haven't, in 4K if you can. Definitely recommended. And then I talked about the Tex Avery sets last time, and then this just came out. This is the Bugs Bunny 80th anniversary collection. And they do this a lot where they'll release this sort of deluxe version. This one has a Bugs pop that you can get. I'm not a pop collector. If I was, I'd be spending more money that I can't spend on Blu-rays, so I just can't do that. But I don't mind having a Bugs pop. I like Bugs. And this was on sale, I think, for $50. So considering that you get all that, and then of course you get the Blu-ray, it's a 3-disc set. I was excited to check this out, and I did get a chance to check it out. And like Tex Avery Volume 2, it has a documentary called What's Up Doc? Yeah, no, Bugs Bunny's 80th What's Up documentary. And I want to say it's about an hour long, and they talk to a whole bunch of people and give sort of a history of him, and I was really digging that. What's also really cool is that you have, it says 60 restored and remastered theatrical shorts. 60 Bugs Bunny cartoons that are on these 3 discs, and you're getting a lot packed in here. You're getting commentaries on, I want to say like 60 to 75% of them. Each of these little shorts has a Jerry Beck commentary, or they've brought in a few other cartoon experts to give commentaries. And I love that stuff. I love a short commentary on a 7 or 8 minute cartoon. It's kind of cool. And Jerry Beck's always great. Jerry is, of course, in the documentary. But the cartoons look wonderful. And so I kind of am so glad this went on sale, and I had a gift card. So I just was like, I'm going to try that out. And this is another set that I would have probably put on my list. So if you're into the older cartoons like I am, this is definitely worth your time. I've got a couple more cartoon Blu-rays that I'll bring up in a minute. But I wanted to, point that one out because it's new. And then another one that I just got recently and is fantastic is the Road Games limited edition from Indicator. And I mean, I think I've talked about them a little bit here and given you my take on them, which is that they're fantastic. I just love these limiteds. They're so, I don't know, they're really nice. So anyway, you get all the stuff on this disc. So now, of course, we know if you're a collector and a fan of this film, it's had at least 3 releases. You have your, I think the original one that I got was through Umbrella Entertainment from Australia. And then Scream Factory did one. I think I have that over here. And now we have this new limited edition, which I think is going to be the definitive, because you have, among other things, a brand new restoration by Powerhouse Films from a 4K scan of the inner negative. So a new scan for this disc. Again, this is, or maybe I didn't say it, but it's region B locked in this case. So you would have to get a multi-region player for this one, but I think you'll find that it's definitely going to be worth it. Just glancing at the back here, I see that it looks like it has basically all the stuff that was included in the Umbrella and then the Scream Factory disc. And then they have some new stuff here. There's a new audio commentary with writers and programmers Anna Bogutskaya and Olivia Howe. And I want to say there's a couple more new things on here. I'm just looking by the dates. They one thing I like that that Indicator does is they will give a little date in the parentheses. So there's something called Trouble Bound, 13 minutes, appreciation by film historian Neil Sinyard. That's also new. And I feel like there's a couple more things on here, but there's so much on this disc that it's just like between the new scan and what they've already included and the few new things they've added, you can't go wrong with this. You really can't. And it looks great. I did get to check it out, the transfer, and I love the transfer. I haven't done a side-by-side or anything, but I love Indicator. I really think they're doing some of the best releases out there, honestly, and I was really excited to get this one, and I just didn't get it in time for the last video, but I had to, talk about it. This is definitely one of the reasons I'm doing a second video, is for things like this that I have to recommend you check out. Definitely get Road Games. Well worth it. And now I'm just going to move into some general stuff that I like. I'll just go another Indicator. This is another great limited edition from Indicator. Curtis Harrington's Night Tide with Dennis Hopper, which is, I did an episode of the podcast with my friend John Cribbs from the Pink Smoke, if you are aware of them. And it was wonderful. It was a great chat about this movie and this, which is also another one of my favorites from this year that I did not bring up in the other episode, the other video. Let's Scare Jessica to Death from Scream Factory. First time on Blu-ray for this movie that I know of, and it looks good, and it's got a commentary, and it's a really nice Scream Factory. I'm going to just go through a couple Scream Factories in a second. But anyway, we talked about Let's Scare Jessica to Death and Night Tide. And Night Tide, for those that don't know, is like a movie, black and white, very low-key, sort of a drama about a sailor who's living in or near Venice, California, and I think he's on leave, and he meets this girl. He sees her and wants to hang out with her, and she works as a mermaid at this little attraction, it's not like a carnival exactly, but it's like one of these things that they would have down by the beach, just sort of a tank that she's in, and she's a mermaid in the tank. And is she really a mermaid? I don't know. And it's, like I said, it's a weird sort of low-key sort of, not quite horror or anything, but maybe along the lines of Carnival of Souls, and that's going to come up again, by the way. There's another movie in this group that's like that. But it's very good, and this is another one of these just fantastic 2 Blu-ray set, and I don't know if you can still get this limited edition or not. There's definitely a standard edition, but what you'd be missing, I think, is disc 2, which is pretty great. Unfortunately, it's Dream Logic, the short films of Curtis Harrington, and it's got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 6 or 7 of his short films, and it's a pretty neat thing to see those shorts and see, you know, what he was doing before and after he made this film. And yeah, I just really like it as context when you can see a filmmaker's previous work in short form. You know, I find that stuff very inspirational, because you can watch a movie and you go, I think I could do that. But then you watch a short and you go, well, I can definitely do that. You know what I mean? Not that you could do a better job. That's not what I'm saying, but I'm just, the idea of tackling a feature is hard. So to see a director that you know has done a feature doing shorts and liking those shorts, I think is a pretty cool thing. So I like it when they include that stuff. It's a new 4K restoration for the Night Tide itself, and they're bringing over the commentary from Curtis Harrington and Dennis Hopper, and there's a new commentary with film programmer Tony Raines, and there's a whole bunch of stuff on here. This is just a great disc. Definitely worth picking up. Highly recommended. Another Indicator Limited. And then, yeah, like I said, Let's Scare Jessica to Death. Very atmospheric horror movie, you know, about a woman and her husband who moved to a remote area on the East Coast, and it's a town full of weird people, and there may be vampires, and she may be going crazy, maybe not, but really great movie. It was on Criterion Channel as part of their, they had sort of a 70s horror block, and it might still be there for just a little bit longer, but definitely check it out if you can. This Blu-ray is well worth your time. Commentary with the director, like I said, and a new interview with the composer, and Kim Newman does a little interview on this, which is cool. Scream Factory doesn't always get him. He usually does UK-based releases, and so it was great to have him on there, but that's very cool. And then also from them, My Bloody Valentine. I should have brought it up in the last one. This is just a really nice collector's edition, and you know, you got a double disc set here. So you have the theatrical version on disc 1 and the uncut version on disc 2, both of which got new scans. So you have theatrical new scan of the original camera negative, uncut new scan of the original camera negative. Can't do much better than that. And a bunch of extras, much of which is not listed on the back, but I did check out those extras. George Mihalko, the director, does commentaries, I want to say on both versions, and they have a new interview with him, and it's just great. One of my favorite slasher movies from the 80s, and I was really happy that Scream did this one up quite right. So definitely worth your time, worth picking up. Then I got a couple from Arrow. After Midnight. This is a movie from this year, actually. Jeremy Gardner and Christian Stella, who did The Battery, a very low-key, basically two-person, not quite, but more or less two-person zombie movie, and on a super low budget. It's a really interesting movie, and that is included here as well. There's a great Scream Factory Blu-ray of that, which has like a 90-minute making of. All that's included here. You get all that on this disc, or this set. Of course, it is Region B locked again, but After Midnight has a commentary with Jeremy Gardner and Christian Stella. It has like them pitching to one of the actors they got is what's his name? Oh, he's from Last Podcast on the Left, and it's a really neat thing because they do a couple different interesting, Henry Zabrowski is his name. And for those who don't, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. For anybody that doesn't know what After Midnight is, it's like the story of this guy played by Jeremy Gardner who has a long-term relationship with this girl played by oh man, I'm just not on my game tonight, folks. I'm so sorry. Bria Grant, who I really like a lot, and she's really good in this. Maybe one of my favorite performances she's given. So they're a couple, and we sort of see the beginnings of their relationship, and then we see one day he wakes up and she's gone, and she's, I think, left him a note, and then every day that she's not there, he's dealing with this monster. Some kind of monster starts coming to his house. You can see like it's trying to break through the door of the house. And so it's just him sort of dealing with this monster, trying to convince people it's real, and bartending and hanging out with his friend, played by Henry Zabrowski, who's very funny. Just a great sidekick, funny character, you know? And I don't want to give away too much more than that. It's a really interesting movie and an interesting complement to The Battery. But those two together in this set make for a really nice release from Arrow. So I really did like this movie, not only as a movie from this year, but just as a Blu-ray package from them. And then I didn't get to talk about Silent Running, came out from Arrow also. I have an old Masters of Cinema Blu-ray as well. But this has got a new 2K restoration from the original camera negative, approved by director Douglas Trumbull. And it's a good Arrow release. Like, it looks good, and it's not 4K. I wish they had done it 4K, but that's all right. This new transfer looks good. But it's got brand new audio commentary with Kim Newman and Barry Forshaw. And then it's got the original audio commentary by Douglas Trumbull and Bruce Dern, which is really good. Always interesting to hear Bruce Dern talk about anything, honestly. Then it's got No Turning Back, a new interview with film historian Jeff Bond on the film's score. First Run, a new visual essay by writer and filmmaker John Spira, exploring the evolution of Silent Running's screenplay and the making of Silent Running, an archival 1972 on-set documentary, and more. I mean, it's just a really nice disc, and this is an interesting sci-fi film about a guy trapped in a sort of space station where they're trying to grow plants to preserve life, and there are some differences of opinion in terms of how he wants to do things and how some of his shipmates want to do things, and there's some conflict. And I'm not going to explain that one either. I'd really rather people see this movie, but it's a good 70s sci-fi movie with good special effects and mattes, and I like this movie a good deal. So it was nice to see this one sneak out on Blu-ray. Then I have a couple from 101 Films, who I like very much, from the UK. This is now, I think, only available in a standard edition, which will look like this. I just don't think it'll include both discs that I got in this one. Another case like Night Tide, where we get short films. So for those that don't know, Phase 4 is the one and only directorial effort from, world-renowned, famous, wonderful title sequence creator Saul Bass. He did North by Northwest and Psycho and so many others. I was just watching Casino the other day on 4K, and Saul Bass's and his wife's credit sequence looks really good in 4K. But anyway, so he made this movie about killer ants and some scientists that are looking at these like giant ant columns and trying to study the ants, and eventually get themselves in trouble with the ants, and it's a big mess. And this movie is notorious for having an ending that was changed and or cut, and the real ending, I guess, or the original ending, is this psychedelic crazy thing that you could find on YouTube for a while. I think you still can. But it's not on the film itself, but the original Saul Bass ending, as he intended it, is on this disc, so you can watch it separately. And it is really interesting, and it does sort of change how the film feels. It's got optional commentary as well. And then it says it's also got An Ant's Life, contextualizing Phase 4, commentary with film historians Alan Bryce and Richard Hollis, limited edition booklet. And then it has the second disc, which is what I really love too, Saul Bass short films. And you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 short films from Saul Bass. On the back, you can see which ones there. This is another Region B lock disc. A lot of 101 Film stuff is region locked now, unfortunately. But again, these are all meant to entice you. If you haven't gone region free, go to 220 Electronics and check out their selection there. I highly recommend picking up a cheap, because they're not cheap. They're good Blu-ray players, multi-region, at 220 Electronics. This is another one of my favorites from this year, and another movie that I really like a lot, The New Kids, from Sean S. Cunningham, director of Friday the 13th. This is a high school revenge thriller. I feel like I maybe have talked about this movie on the channel before, but if you haven't seen it, it's pretty fantastic and pretty dark. These two, of course, that's Lori Loughlin and her brother, are put in a situation where they end up staying with their uncle who lives in Florida and who runs a broken down amusement park called Santa Land, I think. And they end up going to this very rural school where there's, I want to say there's like 4 or 5, for lack of a better term, redneck type guys, and they are bad dudes, and they kind of, lord over the school, and these two come in and don't want to take any of their guff, and so they immediately sort of set up a rivalry with them. They are led by an incredible James Spader. He plays Eddie Dutra, and he is a relentless, really, really bad guy, and one of Spader's best performances. And it's just one of those movies that keeps upping itself. It, sets up, the bad guys do something, the good guys get them back, the bad guys get them back again, and it goes and goes and goes until it climaxes in this really incredible sequence. And I'm not going to spoil that, but really great. This is available on a Blu-ray from Mill Creek as well, but you don't get any of the features. This one has an interview with director Sean S. Cunningham, which is really cool. Interview with writer Stephen Gyllenhaal. That's, of course, Maggie and Jake Gyllenhaal's dad. It's got commentary with film critics Sean Hogan and Jasper Sharp, and a limited edition booklet. But yeah, I really dig this movie, and I really wanted a nice edition of it, a special edition, and this is filling the bill. One of my favorites, again, from this year. This one I brought up on a collection update, but I just want to kind of make sure nobody sleeps on this one. It is very much like, your Carnival of Souls kind of movie, like that sort of low budget, black and white, nightmare, what's real, what's not. This one's even more nightmarish. It's even less, there's less of a sort of a logical, straight ahead narrative going on, and there's actually not a lot of talking in the movie either. It's just this woman wakes up, and then she sort of goes from one situation to another. She gets in a car with this guy, and he's super creepy, and as you can see, there's a lot of complicated scenarios that play out in this film. But it's only about an hour long, and it's just fascinating. Just one of those movies that you're like, wow, no Hollywood studio would ever make something like this. And so it really stands out as like a cult item, and something that's got one foot in German expressionism or something. It's just a really, really neat movie. And I did get to listen to the commentary with Kat Ellinger, who, of course, you guys know I love, and she gives a great commentary track on this. There's also the Daughter of Horror cut of the film. That's from 1957. It's 55 minutes. It says, after being picked up by the producer Jack H. Harris, Dementia was re-released as Daughter of Horror, whilst also featuring music without dialogue. Harris made a number of edits and added narration by Ed McMahon. So you get that in that other version of the film, which I did watch some of, and which is interesting for sure. Trailers from Hell from Joe Dante talking about the movie, so you know it's good. Something called Alone with Monsters, 1958, 16 minutes, a study of people's unconscious cruelty to others. This bold experimental film was directed by Nasli Noor, with cinematography by the great Walter Lassily. I didn't get a chance to see that yet. And then, of course, there's a before and after restoration thing. But Another Region B lock disc. I'm sorry this video is so heavy on that, but there's a lot of cool stuff outside the States, and I just wanted to throw some of these in there that I feel like aren't coming up on other videos as well. All right, what else we got here? Let's talk about Imprint films again. I talked about their Blu-ray set for the Noir. This film actually got 2 releases this year. Danger Diabolic. This is Mario Bava's pop art spy film with John Philip Law as the titular Diabolic, and it is great. It is just a whole lot of fun, incredibly stylish. I'm just really happy it got any Blu-ray release at all. Unfortunately, this one is sold out, which is why I make people aware that there is the Scream Factory version. However, the Scream Factory version has a little bit less in the way of extras. It has an audio commentary with John Philip Law and Tim Lucas. That's from the original DVD. And something called Danger Diabolic from Fumetti to Film featurette. Okay, so this has both of those, and then it has an exclusive video essay by Kat Ellinger, yet again, and that's great. And it also has a new 2020 updated audio commentary with Tim Lucas. So you have the other one with Tim Lucas and John Philip Law, which is cool, but it's not a full-on Tim Lucas commentary. And then you get the full Tim Lucas treatment with his new commentary that's exclusively on this Imprint Films Blu-ray. And then the from Fumetti to Film featurette, Body Movin', Beastie Boys music video with commentary by the Beastie Boys' Adam Yauch. That was on the DVD, I think, as well. Their video is very much influenced by this film. But region free, if you can still find it, definitely get this version. But if you can't, that's not bad either. So good to get 2 nice versions of a Mario Bava gem. Then we have, well, let's just do a couple more imprints while I'm in the mode of it. I think I talked about, you know what, I talked about the next one. I may have mentioned this one in my first video ever when I was talking about Imprint films, but I actually really like this release of I Married a Monster from Outer Space, a sort of a cult classic 1958 sci-fi film that I think some people might be thinking is campy, which it is a little bit, but it's much creepier than you would think with a title like that. It's much more along the lines of the original Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and it's very good. And it has an exclusive commentary with Kim Newman and Barry Forshaw, and that's very good. So this one is one I definitely had wanted on Blu-ray for a long time, and I was really excited that Imprint made this part of their first wave. And I think this is coming out in a standard edition, and I believe that means you just won't have a slipcase, but there may be some other limitations. So you may still be able to get this disc very soon. So the other thing that's neat is I was talking about Imprint and how they are limited, but what I'm noticing is they have announced some standard editions now. Much like Indicator will do a limited edition and then a standard, it looks like Imprint is going to have that model as well. So if something sells out, i.e. Danger Diabolic, if you wait 2-3 months, 4 months maybe, they will maybe announce a standard edition of it. So keep an eye out on that. And I definitely did talk about Sorry Wrong Number in my first video. This is a great film noir with sort of an invalid Barbara Stanwyck dealing with a less than great husband in Burt Lancaster and a potential plot to murder her that she can't do much about because she can't leave her house. It sounds like a really tough thing to make a great movie out of, but Barbara Stanwyck is so good in this that she makes it work. And Burt Lancaster is not in the movie a ton, but what he is in it for, he is pretty good. Pretty good. But just a great noir that hadn't had a Blu-ray prior to this, and it has an exclusive commentary with Alan K. Rhodey, which is good, an intro by Eddie Muller, and then a making of, and a radio play, actually 2 radio adaptations of the film as well. But this is definitely one of my favorite releases of the year, so I'm glad I remembered it when I was digging through my Indicator, or I'm sorry, my Imprint stuff. All right, speaking of Indicator, this also just came out. I just got my hands on this. Now, of course, Twilight Time had put this out in a Region A version, which I believe is out of print. at this point. This is a Region B locked version of a really great noir from Carl Franklin with Denzel Washington and a killer early performance from Don Cheadle, among others. You also get Jennifer Beal, Tom Sizemore. It's just really solid, this one. I'm not going to go into intricacies of the plot, but it's about a private detective named Easy Rawlins, and he gets himself caught up in some trouble, and this has a 2K restoration. I'm not sure. I think it's a new transfer, but I'm not actually sure. That might be the transfer from the Twilight time. They have ported over the audio commentary from Carl Franklin from the DVD, something called Dancing with the Devil, an archival interview, 23 minutes, with Franklin, conducted by Film Noir Foundation's Eddie Muller. That's at a screening of Devil in a Blue Dress. Don Cheadle's screen test from 1994, 15 minutes. Really cool to watch that. I really enjoyed that. Videotape footage of him auditioning for the role of Mouse, which he just destroys. And that's more or less it, but it does have a few more features than the Twilight Time disc had, and I just love this movie, so I couldn't not drop it in here knowing that I had it in my possession now and could talk about it. From Shout Factory. This one, Shout Select, had a quieter year, and this one kind of snuck out, and I was really impressed with it. I mean, I love Glengarry Glen Ross. I've seen this film. I'm sure a lot of you have. Just an all-star game of a cast. Al Pacino, Jack Lemmon, Alec Baldwin, Ed Harris, Alan Arkin, Jonathan Pryce. It's really good stuff. And it's David Mamet, and it's some of his best Mamet dialogue you'll ever hear. In fact, the scene with the brass balls, as pictured here on the front, with Alec Baldwin, is one of my favorite scenes in any movie. It's just great. But this collector's edition is really solid. We've had a Blu-ray special edition of this already, and this ports over the audio commentary with James Foley from that. There's also an audio commentary with Jack Lemmon from that, something called ABC Always Be Closing, and then a tribute to Jack Lemmon. What this adds is a new 4K transfer from the original camera negative, and it looks stunning. I was just really impressed. It's not a movie that you think, oh, how good could that look? But it looks great. So that's one reason to get it. A new scan, a new conversation with James Foley, which I very much enjoyed. He's a director I'm a big fan of. I hope to be talking about At Close Range at some point. There's an Imprint Blu-ray of that coming. And then a new interview with actor Joe Mantegna called God Bless Ricky Roma. And you might be asking, why Joe Mantegna? He's not in this movie, and sadly he is not, but he did play Ricky Roma, which is the Al Pacino character, on Broadway. So it's cool to listen to him talk about the character, working with David Mamet. Obviously he's worked with Mamet a lot. He's maybe one of the key stock company players in the Mamet troupe, if you will. But this one, I just was really impressed with this Blu-ray, and I just didn't hear anybody talk about it. So definitely check out the new Glengarry Glen Ross. All right, what else have we got here? We have some Ronin Flicks stuff from Scorpion. Gates of Hell, Lucio Fulci's film, Gates of Hell, also known as City of the Living Dead, is a new special collector's edition, which basically, I haven't had a chance even to open my Arrow. I got the single non-limited edition of this during an Arrow sale, and I think this has basically all the features this one has, except it has a new 2020 4K color grading and restoration of the film from a 4K scan of the original camera negative. So the transfer is going to look a little different than this, I think. But to be honest, that's why I have both. This was cheap, and this has a new scan, and it has a new commentary with Troy Howarth and Nathaniel Thompson, and I enjoy those guys very much. But this one, I think it's still in print because it was on sale, so you could still get it. But this is Region B locked, and then this is Region A. So if you're looking for a copy of one of Fulci's best horror films, and I do believe that this is one of them, you should get your hands on this incredibly stacked Gates of Hell release. Look at all those features on the back. There is so much stuff here. Again, a lot of this comes over from that Arrow version, but it's pretty fantastic and pretty stacked. And I really, really enjoyed watching it again, and I liked the transfer looked good to me. I mean, I don't know what the differences are in terms of the color grading, but it looked good to me. So that's one that I got that from Ronin Flix. You can still get that at roninflix.com, I believe. Same goes for this. Scorpion releasing new version of Death Wish 3. Of course, my favorite Death Wish movie, one of my favorite Charles Bronson movies. And this one has a brand new 2020 2K scan from the original Interpositive, and it looks great. The other reason I bring this one up, not only because it's a favorite, and I really love this movie, but it also has an interview with Kirk Taylor, who plays the Giggler, if you remember the Giggler. I may have talked about this one on the channel, but I'm just reminding people it has an audio commentary with Paul Talbot, who wrote these 2 books called Bronson's Loose and Bronson's Loose Again or something. There's 2 great biography type books that he wrote, and Paul Talbot is just a great commentator. He did a track on a couple other Bronson movies. I know he's on 10 to Midnight because I've talked about that one on the podcast. He's just got this very, city sounding, maybe Brooklyn accent or something. And he's just very informed and is wall to wall with his comments about all the actors and the production. And it's just a good commentary. So you get a good new transfer of a good movie and a new track. And I like this one. So I had to bring that up. I got a couple more of the animated film stuff I was talking about. These are Warner Archive. You have Space Ghost and Dino Boy, the complete series. You may remember Space Ghost from Space Ghost Coast to Coast. Of course, this is the original series from the 60s that he was part of, and this looks incredible. These animated Blu-rays from Warner Archive are just pretty killer, I gotta say. And so you get the dual cartoon show, which was a thing back then. I don't feel like we do it as much anymore, where you'd have 2 completely different things. You have Space Ghost and, his crew for half the show, and then Dino Boy, who's this kid who's like, I don't even know how to explain it. Like, he's sort of adopted by, like, that animation isn't what the show looks like, but he's like adopted by a caveman, and they're running around trying to avoid dinosaurs, and it's also fun. But again, they both look great, and this includes another feature-length doc. In this case, it's called Simplicity, the Life and Art of Alex Toth, who did Space Ghost and Dino Boy. He did the Herculoids. He did Johnny Quest. I mean, he did a ton of stuff from the 60s that would be very formative and very memorable. I think he did like Thundar. I don't remember all that he did, but he did a ton, and he's highly influential. And so the documentary talks to a lot of present day folks who were influenced by him. And so this is a 2-disc set. You got a lot of cartoons there, and again, they all look great, and you get that documentary. So a wonderful package for animation fans. And just piggybacking on that, you have Josie and the Pussycats, the complete series, also Warner Archive, also stunning. Just really, I can't believe how good Hanna-Barbera cartoons from, I think this is also the 60s or the 70s. I can't remember how far back this one goes. But the whole series, of course, we've seen a movie made out of it. We've seen a new Riverdale incarnation of Josie and the Pussycats, but the old cartoon is a lot like Scooby-Doo, and I definitely enjoy that. So Scooby-Doo knockoffs are one of my favorite things, honestly, and it's an interesting group of characters with the Pussycats, and they get into some interesting adventures. Again, very Scooby-ish. So it must be post 69, I guess, because I think this is one of the knockoffs, or maybe this actually comes before. Regardless, I always think of it as a knockoff because it really feels like Scooby-Doo to me. But anyway, this one also has a neat featurette, The Irresistible Charm of Dan DeCarlo, The Man and His Art. That's also cool, but I was just really impressed with how good this looked. So again, you're into the cartoons. I just want to bring these to your attention. Don't sleep on this stuff if you like it. Definitely worth picking up. Josie and the Pussycats. Then we got a few more here. What do we got? This one doesn't have any features, but I just really enjoy the movie. Lord Love a Duck from 1966. Weird cult movie with Roddy McDowall, Tuesday Weld, Ruth Gordon. It's a new 2K master. It's written by screenwriter George Axelrod, who wrote The 7-Year Itch and Will Success Spoil Rock Hunter, Breakfast at Tiffany's, Manchurian Candidate. It's a classic satirical comedy starring Roddy McDowall. And it says you can't always get what you want unless, of course, you've got Alan Musgrave McDowell, also known as Molly Muck, I think, in this movie, on your side with a special gift for manipulating the outcome of any situation. The high school-minded high schoolers set out to help beautiful new girl on campus, Barbara Ann, Tuesday Weld. Trouble is, Barbara Ann wants everything, and Alan's help is making a mess out of everyone's lives, including hers. So it's just a really goofy, like you could see this. I know that Dan Waters is a big fan of this one. You could see it as sort of an influence on Heathers in a way. But it's also weird because I want to say Roddy McDowall was like 38 when he made this movie, and he's playing ostensibly a high school senior, which is whatever. And Tuesday Weld always looked older. He always looked younger. So somehow it works weirdly. But it's just goofy screwball weirdness, and I really enjoy it. So it's sort of a 60s cult classic and finally getting a Blu-ray. So kind of psyched about that one. And then just a couple more things. I talked about this one recently too, the 4K of Total Recall. I just want to come back to this and say it looks great. That alone is worth it. And then the Coralco doc, I think I mentioned the last time I talked about it, by Ballyhoo Motion Pictures. Really good stuff. Like one of my favorite docs I've seen this year, and it's not even a full-length doc. It just goes through the history of Coralco, which I think I mentioned in that other video is kind of like a higher-end Canon Films. You know, they made First Blood Part 2. That was their big hit, and then they sort of were trying to capture that zeitgeist-winning formula again with more Rambo movies, with, you know, Extreme Prejudice, T2, and then this. But it's really interesting to hear their story, how they, you know, the two partners came together and how the company began and how it declined. And so this is still, I think, $13 on Amazon. You can still get it. I think it's still worth a pickup, especially because it looks great. Really good restoration of Total Recall. And then just a couple more things. This is an oddball release from Scream Factory. Not oddball in that it's out of the realm of what they do, but just one you don't hear about a lot. This is it's not exactly a trailer compilation. It's more like a clip show. The back says, Terror in the Aisles is a roller coaster ride through the most terrifying moments from over 70 of Hollywood's greatest chillers. Donald Pleasance and Nancy Allen are the hosts of this blood-curdling journey through a collection of horror classics like Psycho, Jaws, Poltergeist, Alien, The Bride of Frankenstein, The Exorcist, Halloween, and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Now, what you get is these clips that are cut together. Intermittently, Donald Pleasance or Nancy Allen will show up in a movie theater talking about the films, talking about horror and terror in general. And it's just a fun thing to put on, maybe if you, not that you're having a lot of people over right now, but just to put on in the background. And one thing that will be fun for some is to watch this and try and identify all the clips. There is a commentary track from pop culture historian Russell Dyball, who I'm a fan of, but one thing he states right away in the commentary is he's not going to identify all the clips, and he does not, and that's fine. I do think it's fun to watch and go, oh, that's Scanners, oh, that's Carrie, or, you know, whatever. The other thing that's neat about this, and I can't tell you for sure if it's a new transfer, I don't think so, but I do feel like it looks better than the version that was on the original Halloween 2 release, not the Scream Factory release, but the original Halloween 2 Blu-ray from Universal, I think, had Terror in the Aisles as a special feature. I can't remember if it was HD or SD, but this, of course, is an HD transfer, and it looks good. I mean, you know, the clips are older. Even if they were restored, you'd have to recut in the old clips, and I kind of actually like the texture of the old clips. But it's fun to watch, and it just makes you want to watch a lot of the movies in here and throws a couple at you that you don't expect. And this also has an alternate television cut in standard def, which has a whole bunch of different movies. I want to say that version is longer by a little bit, of 10 minutes or so. So you get both versions. You get an audio commentary. You get new interview with the composer John Beal and editor Gregory McClatchy. And I want to say that, there's a new interview with Nancy Allen, which is also cool. So this one, I think, just snuck out also from Scream Factory. Not a lot of people talked about it, but I like it, and I think it's worth having. So there's that. And then, of course, last but not least, Police Squad, the complete series. If you like the Naked Gun movies, I think Police Squad is maybe better than, I don't know, but you can definitely see how exactly those movies are this. It's from, the movies are called From the Files of Police Squad. They are the movie versions of this TV show. And it's just a really funny show, really funny, doing the same kind of things in short form TV format. Joe Dante directed, I think, like 4 episodes, and all his episodes are great. But if you like those movies, you got to watch the series. I just can't recommend it enough. So it's really nice to get these on Blu-ray. I think they transferred over some features from the DVD. There's a Leslie Nielsen interview, behind the freeze frames featurette. There's, of course, a gag at the end of the show where they would freeze frame physically. I think they did it in a couple of the movies, maybe even too, but they would actually just kind of pretend to hold still, and then weird stuff would happen. So that's part of it. There's casting tests. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. But there's only 6 episodes of the show, so you get all 6 here, and it's just a great compilation. If you want to laugh, this is the ticket for you. And another one that came out rather quietly, but I think is also still pretty cheap. So definitely pick up Police Squad on Blu-ray. Anyway, that went longer than my previous video, so I failed in making this a short video, but I couldn't help myself. I just wanted to talk about some more of these Blu-rays. And yes, I probably missed more stuff, but just throwing out some more recommendations for you guys. Hopefully you enjoy this. If you've picked up anything at the end of the year that snuck by you, let me know what those titles are. I'm very curious if there's anything else I'm missing that has come out in December. And I've definitely been keeping an eye on things, or trying to. But anyway, thank you for watching as always. Hopefully this will give you more options, more ideas for Blu-rays that you might want to pick up. I will talk to you guys soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.